website for volunteer opportunities.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Robert Winters.
I'm Susanna Sagat, and welcome to another edition of Cambridge InsideOut, the sequel.
This tonight we're actually having, it's like candidates night.
And it's a live show, and someone's calling us right now. I'm picking it up. Oh my goodness. Hello?
Hi, this is Janaki House.
Hi, Janaki. This is Susanna, and Robert's here, and you are live on CCTV.
Great. Hello.
I'm putting up your picture while you talk, so people can see you when you're talking to us, okay?
Thank you.
And Janaki, just so I can publicly apologize for mispronouncing your name on our second program, was it? I said Janaki or something, right? Say it. How shall everyone address you?
Janaki.
Janaki.
No,
Okay.
the right answer is as counselor.
That's right.
I like the way you think, Susanna.
It's just a joke.
There we go.
I don't take any positions on the show.
So Janaki, tell us, now that I know you've successfully taken one candidate out and turned him into your campaign manager, Tom Stolman.
Oh, what's this? Tell us about this.
Well, no, there was an early possible candidate, was Tom Stolman, who was
Last year.
summer, but he's actually working for Janaki.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yes, I feel very lucky to have Tom Stolman as my campaign manager.
So tell us.
He knows the ropes, and every once in a while we play the game to see who knows more as we're out canvassing, who knows more people.
Right.
And who wins?
So far, Tom is actually leading, but today I'm leading.
Good job. So you're outdoor knocking?
Outdoor knocking. I'm taking a break in Dana Park.
Tell us what that's like.
So I've been to every single precinct across the city, knocked on over 6,000 doors, and have met about 1,000 people.
Wow.
And I've got to say, I don't have any favorite neighborhoods. Everyone's been really nice.
And what do you do? So you knock on the door. Bring us. We don't understand what people do when they knock on the door. So you knock on the door, and what? So someone finally answers you, and what do you do?
So I introduce myself, tell them I'm Janaki House, running for city council, and they usually ask me. I'll tell them that we have 2 women leaving the council, and they ask who's leaving, and then we start talking about city services. And the topic has come up about having a 311 number for the city, where you call in, it's one number, you talk to a human operator, such as the garbage wasn't picked up on time or the swing set needs to be repaired. But most people, and this is what surprises me, is they thank me for coming to the door and asking for that number 1 vote. They say that they appreciate what I'm doing, they understand the process, and they thank me for coming by.
You know, one thing that I've often said about candidates is they often become candidates and they've got, big ideas, big goals and whatever. And then it's kind of a bit of a change when they actually do the contacts with individual voters who have, just more like day-to-day type of concerns. Has that been your experience? It
is, absolutely. Well, and that's one reason why I'm running is I love these quality of life issues. I do get asked maybe once a day, not so much anymore about Syria. What are we going to do about Syria? And I explain what a city councilor does, and I say that, I can help quality of life issues. I can help make your commute a little bit easier every day by fixing a pothole or making sure the swing set is fixed. And then we can focus on some of those bigger issues. But it's really those day-to-day issues that affect us the most.
Okay, so I have a question for you. It sounds like you start off by saying that there are 2 women leaving the city council. So first of all, who are those 2 women?
Henrietta Davis is retiring, and then Marjorie Decker was elected to the State House and will be serving as a full-time state rep.
And why do you think it's important to tell people that 2 women are leaving the city council?
I think it's important that the city council looks like Cambridge. I think it's important that we elect good candidates, and if they happen to be women, that's even that's a bonus. And if no more women are elected, we'd only have 2 on the council out of 9.
Right.
And does that resonate with people?
It does, very much so.
Very good.
Especially in a state like Massachusetts, where until Elizabeth Warren was elected, we had never elected a woman to a top-of-the-ticket office.
That's true. One of the other things that I've said about local political campaigns over the years is that it's the inexpensive way of getting an education about political science and politics and civic life, and that in fact you learn as much as anything else as you go door to door or campaign events or whatever. So are there particular things you've learned as a candidate in either from other candidates or in the various forums or door to door that you didn't know before?
Good question.
Well, since I've walked almost every street in Cambridge or every precinct, I can say that I think every road is being repaved at the exact same time.
It feels that way.
And so I've received that response from people kind of asking about road construction and things of that nature and why it takes so long. And some of the other concerns that voters have brought up have been the development in neighborhoods, making sure that it doesn't impact open space or local businesses.
All right, I have a question for you. We've been trying to ask something that makes the candidates seem approachable or human to the rest of us voters. So we'll ask, what book are you reading, or are you still a student, or a question like that. Tell us something about yourself that you want the voters to know that makes you approachable.
Well, I was a professional Irish dancer for about 10 years with my sister.
Really?
Yes.
So you have all those really fancy dresses? Beautiful.
I did. We never competed professionally, but I started my own school and performed and choreographed.
That's amazing. So,
Hi.
You're outdoor knocking. So go ahead, Robert.
Sorry, no, just a voter.
Oh, okay.
That
Just
walked
a
by.
What do you mean, just a voter? All right, now, besides the Irish dancing, my question is
Which is a good
this.
one.
No, that's great. I like that. Are there any particular talents or
It's good to see you, Jimmy. Jimmy Tingle.
Oh, it's Tingle. Hey,
Right now?
He's out playing football with his kids.
Put him on the show with us.
there we go. He grew up right down the street from where my house is. His mother still lives there. Yeah.
All right, so here's a serious question. Go ahead,
My
Robert.
serious question is, what is it special about you, your talents or understanding, that distinguishes you from the other candidates and makes you the number one choice for a particular voter?
Good question. Why should people vote for you?
Well, people should vote for me because I'm a qualified candidate. I have a background in urban planning and economic development. I've worked with the local businesses across the city. I love this city. I'd love to invest and make sure that the city grows in a positive way.
Now, you were actually working with Cambridge Local First over the last few years?
I was
What is
working
that?
with Cambridge Local First, and then I left that organization to work for the Kendall Square Association.
Ah.
And what are those associations?
So the Kendall Square Association is a civic organization which helps it involves the businesses, the residents, different companies in Kendall Square to make it a vibrant live, work, play area. And then Cambridge Local First was an organization focused on helping local businesses, promoting them, consumer education, encouraging consumers to shift their shopping from chain to local stores.
That sounds good.
Pretty good. I have one other thing I'd ask, and then I'm not quite sure where we are on the clock just right now.
Yeah. Then you go back to door knocking.
But in a sense, this is sort of the hardest question. It's basically, if there's just one or two things that you could see in terms of improvements or changes in Cambridge over the next maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 years, Is there anything you could single out as something that you would put way up there as a goal?
I'd like to see a 311 number, which would help constituent services be a little bit more responsive across the city. And then I want to make sure that open space is being preserved, as well as electing people to the council who work well with each other, who are open and transparent.
And I think it's fair to say that some have argued that that hasn't always been the case over the last several years. There's a little
No, and
controversy.
as we're, as the council is getting ready to evaluate the new city manager and go out to a national search and a public visioning process, I'd like to make sure that that happens.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Go back and door knock. We appreciate you
I
taking
will.
the time to call us.
And if Tingle's still there, tell him we say hey.
I will. I get the best responses door knocking.
Good. Well, have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay. So our phone number is 617-876-0055. 876-0055. What did that exchange used to be? Do you remember? 876?
I don't
We used to
know.
have exchanges back in the days when we had to remember phone numbers.
Back in the days of telephones. I think I remember.
There was an
those.
exchange number.
Right, now people have iPhones, they don't have telephones, right?
Well, now people just press. Is that the phone? No.
No. No, it's,
They just press a person's name. They don't know. I don't remember any phone numbers anymore.
right. Now,
Anyway.
of course, if I was a candidate, I'd be advocating for implanting of microchips in people's brains so that they wouldn't even need phones anymore. They would just go, yes, hello?
Oh, you'd win.
No, we go 311. Right.
This is why we aren't running for office.
That's it. That's exactly right.
So, 617-876-0055. That's our number. And if you don't call, then you're just going to have to keep hearing us talk to each other.
That's right.
This
That's
is a
absolutely right.
horrible thing. So, call us.
Yeah, one thing I think it's probably worth mentioning, it seems almost like it was way off in the horizon when we first got together doing the program. It seemed like it was, a couple of months before the election. But it's amazing how time flies. And I know the candidates are already getting a little sensitive about it because right now,
Oh, yeah, election day's coming.
election is 5 weeks away, just barely more than a month now.
That's frightening.
And I've certainly detected a little bit more nervousness amongst candidates, a little bit of testiness sometimes,
Well, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, at the candidate event last week at the Dante Alighieri Society, people were actually quite cordial. I think it was maybe one or two little bits of friction or something like that. But I think, especially for incumbents, start to get a little worried, because there are all these. If there are 25 candidates, and including some pretty strong challenges out there this year, incumbents are going to start getting nervous, and I think it's inevitable that it's not always going to be all happy, fun and games. People will start to.
Well, they want to
more friction.
differentiate themselves.
Right, as well they should. Right, but that's anyway, it's been interesting watching things progress. One of the I'm gonna confess, one of the questions I really wanted to ask candidates, but I don't think anybody would ever answer this.
What's
was
that?
I would say to them, we know who your number one vote's going to. Who's your number two going to?
Oh, yeah, that's
Do you
a
think-
thing.
Susanna,
Oh,
do you
my
think
goodness.
there's
That would
is there
bring up tension.
Is there a single candidate who would answer that question?
Oh, yeah, and they would answer, it's a bullet vote for me. I'm not giving anyone
Don't
else
even
a number
consider
two.
any
Oh, yeah,
others
no
like
way.
that. But it is true that we use ranked choice balloting, and if there are 25 candidates, 16 people will not be elected. That's a tragic reality.
Yeah.
So from not only from a candidate's point of view, but also from a voter's point of view, you really have to be mindful that unless you're voting for an absolute sure thing, there's a good chance that your ballot may actually be credited toward one of your second, third, fourth, or whatever choice.
I know, but it's your ballot is like, that's your baby. To see it go to someone else if you lose, oh my goodness, that's just sad.
You know,
I don't know.
I
don't know.
I used to argue with advocates for proportional representation elections, and I'd say that the Cambridge system is not always so kind to candidates. It's not a candidate-centric system. It's much more of a voter-centric system. It cares what the voters, make sure you achieve what the voters wanted so that they get their proportional representation. But if there are multiple candidates who would serve perfectly well as a representative, the system doesn't make any distinction between them. The voter, as long as they get their representation, the system's happy. So it can be a little testy for the candidates.
But
to be sure.
candidates should keep in mind that civility does matter.
I think that's one of the
being kind to each other is really important, because they might be candidates, but people are human beings in the long run, hopefully, and being mean to each other hurts, and it shows a bad example, and people don't like to watch it.
It's really true. I think people have said that about transferable vote elections, PR elections in Cambridge, is that negative campaigning generally hurts you. And for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that ultimately, since not all candidates are going to win, ballots have to transfer to others. And if you alienate the very people you're competing against, the ballots may not come to you in a transfer round. So people tend to be somewhat civil to each other. Of course, the downside of that, too, is sometimes if you're a voter who's trying to tell the difference between candidates, and they're very busy being nice to each other, sometimes it's a little hard to distinguish them, too.
I don't know. I think, the Boston mayoral race that we just had, people were pretty nice to each other. And they were differentiated. I mean, they treated each other with respect. I thought, and anyway, what was public was pretty respectful.
There were a number of people, prominent people in the press actually suggested that, and I was kind of pleased to see that they said that, well, maybe Boston should have considered using something a little closer to the way Cambridge does elections with ranked ballots. Because you had, was it 12 candidates?
It was a really tough election.
And in the end, the top two candidates were the ones in Boston now, not Cambridge, who advanced to the November election. And I think, what was it, the top candidate got 20, didn't even get a quarter? Was it 23 and 18?
Oh, tops, yeah.
Yeah, so the person the top two candidates in the Boston system who advanced to the mayoral election were, I think it was 23, I had said it's a real chance that somebody may not even break 25%, and in fact, they barely broke 20%. So I think it's probably true of the candidates that they'll probably still get some general approval around the city. But what that really means is that there were many candidates, I should say many voters who might not have actually liked either of the candidates, and now come November, they'll have a choice between two candidates, and I imagine that a fair number of Boston voters might just say, well, I'm not even going to bother to vote as a result, because neither of my candidates seem to make it to the final. That's a... I see.
Oh my gosh, I think our phone's ringing.
Yep.
See, this is what happens. Phone doesn't ring, you have to listen to us talk. So
Yeah,
here
that's
goes.
right.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, this is Susanna, and I have Robert here with me. Who's this?
I don't know. I'm calling in on the Be Live show.
This is it. You're live on Be Live.
Good. Okay.
Tell us your name.
I've lived in Cambridge for over 40 years, and
What's your first name?
I really dislike our voting system.
Okay.
I wish that we could elect a mayor. This business of the city council being without a mayor for weeks and sometimes months on end because they can't agree is absurd. I also would like to see term limits imposed in Cambridge on the number of years a particular member of the city council can serve. And what I'm asking is, what would it take to begin reforming this system?
I think
How does one reform an electoral system?
That's a good question. Tell us your first name.
Juliet.
Okay,
All
Juliet.
right, Juliet.
Thank you for calling, Juliet. Robert's going to give us all the answers here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. There are actually several ways in which one could propose.
Oh, I hope she's watching because I think she hung up. Did you
Uh,
hang up, Juliet?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think she
watched
did.
on the TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are several ways in which reform like that could happen. One is that you can form what they call a charter commission. That's actually a kind of a long, drawn-out procedure. This is what they did in Worcester when they changed to a directly elected mayor via charter commission. But there are a couple of other ways that are simply, you could actually, for example, the city council, if they could come to some consensus about a desire for change, they could actually petition to have a special act of the state legislature that would actually implement the change.
So just the legislature voting on it?
Yeah, but typically then it would come back to the city because they would put it on the local ballots just to make sure that the voters approved of it as well. There's at least one other way in which a change like that could happen through popular petition. So you could have many people filing, I forget how many signatures necessary, in order to put the matter on a ballot as well. So there are ways in which it can happen, but I mean, one of the things I do point out about we do have a weak mayor system in Cambridge, or so-called weak mayor. City manager is really the one who shows the executive authority. In many respects, the mayor of Cambridge is a bit of a misnomer. What did Anthony Galuccio say he should call the mediator in charge?
Yeah, which is a good
something?
answer.
Yeah. I always think that the mayor of Cambridge is more analogous to the Boston City Council president. That's the primary thing. In addition to running the school committee, that's the primary task. We're going to actually have another call.
Okay.
But Boston City Council they elect their own chair. It's not a popular
that's okay.
elected position.
Thank you, Robert.
Right.
Hi, this is Susanna and Robert's here, and you're live on CCTV. Who's this?
Hi there, this is Nadeem Mazen and team. Say hi, team.
Hi, Nadeem. Hold on.
Hi.
I'm going to put your picture up while you talk.
There we go.
Okay.
Nadeem always comes with a crowd. I'm noticing that actually at the candidate forum last week at the Dante Alighieri. He had a whole gang of folks there.
So, Nadeem, you're running for city council.
That's right.
So tell us about your campaign.
Well, we've got it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo of myself.
Yeah, I
you guys
know.
hear me all right?
The echo is on your side. We hear you fine.
That's great. Okay. Well, we've got a great team here, and we're building a lot of energy in the city around new concepts. One of them is bite-sized politics, making complex issues more accessible through live events, brainstorming sessions, community building and organizing, and some online videos and animations. And we're also talking about how we want to bring self-imposed term limits and basic community organizing back to the role of city councilor, how it's a basic elected representative responsibility. And, I think it's a shame and maybe a lost art that it doesn't happen more often in municipal level politics across the country.
Did you just say self-imposed term limits?
That's right, self-imposed.
Someone who, was just calling in and asking about term limits. What does that mean, self-imposed term limits?
Well, it means that if other people aren't going to enact term limits, I know the value myself, for myself. And I'd very much be in favor of term limits for everyone, but for myself, I won't spend longer than 4 or at most 6 years in the job. And I know that there's benefits to institutional knowledge, but in this case, the benefits of cycling new voices in and of finding those leaders from within the community are higher than the benefits of me staying in, building kind of a personal brand, and then advancing that brand rather than advancing the community. So we're dedicated to keeping it short, working hard, 10, 12, 14-hour days. And 6 years is the longest you can do that, I think.
Well, I've got a few questions of sort I might toss out at you.
Sure.
First one, it would be this, is that, so when you began a campaign, some time has now passed. Are there any things you've picked up along the way, things you've learned either about Cambridge or new ideas that have come about as a result of the campaign that you didn't really think of before getting started?
Oh, wow. Well, definitely. First of all, it's a totally educational process. It's something I'd recommend to anyone hoping to learn more about their city and its residents. We've learned a whole lot about a lot of the underserved communities and minority communities. We've learned a lot about the issues that are facing everyone. I think I've read more ordinances in the last year than I had in my rest of my life combined. And, I think it's broadened me a deeper level of knowledge of how difficult some of these issues are to tangle with. But in addition to that, maybe it's also brought me face-to-face with how few the creative solutions and the broad solutions have been in attacking systemic problems like lack of affordable and middle-income housing and some of the other issues that have plagued our city for nigh on a decade.
Is there, I'll just toss one question. We only have a couple minutes to go here. Actually, yeah,
Sure.
just about 2 minutes to go. If you could, of the various thoughts you've had or ideas that have generated here, if there's just maybe one or two things that you could see happening either through your actions or others in and around Cambridge in the next, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, is there anything that stands out as a goal that would really, really make your day?
Sure. Well, I think the main thing is that it's so easy to get elected as an incumbent, and it's so easy, I think, for someone who's skilled to get elected and stay in, that it almost means that community organizing outside of election season isn't necessary. Now, going down into the communities and making sure that there's leadership actions and brainstorming sessions and the old style kind of grassroots organizing to make sure that each community is leaderful, that's something I really want to see. I want to make sure that, we've talked about term limits. I'm also dedicated, if elected, to taking a third of my after-tax salary and putting it into community organizing. That can be events. That can be hiring people from within communities to organize themselves. That's something that ought not to be attached to my name, but to the city's intention. Making sure that our communities can lead themselves, making sure that they have good liaisons and interface with the government is super important. And I don't want to hear anymore, the way I've heard throughout this campaign, well, Nadeem, our group is just taken for granted. Our votes are taken for granted. That's probably the main thing, and it's the structural thing that'll make our democracy the most strong.
That sounds just
Nadeem,
great.
we have just a few seconds left. In 10 seconds, is there anything else you want to tell the people of Cambridge?
In 10 seconds, well, I love Cambridge, and I've been loving organizing Cambridge, so please give me your number one vote.
Number one vote.
Tuesday,
That's the
November
main
10th.
thing. There you go.
Thank you so much, Nadeem. Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
so much. Take
This is Cambridge Inside Out. Next Saturday.